Thank you, Frank, and excited to be here today. I'm going to review our product roadmap, or what's on the horizon in terms of new initiatives for Mattersight. But before I do that, I always like to kind of take a step back and, before talking about the future, go over where have we been. And one of my favorite stories I like to tell is my first project on Mattersight 13 years ago. It was in the early days when we were first developing our speech analytics, and I got assigned to build an algorithm that determines silence on phone calls. So on the surface, it's pretty black and white, it's pretty simple, and me being the rookie on the team and the eager beaver, I jumped feet first into this deep end pool of unstructured data from large enterprises on millions of phone calls and just quickly get slapped in the face. It's not that easy, and I remember two very distinct thoughts back then. The first being, wow, if we could really do this, if we could measure every second of every interaction at scale, that becomes very powerful. And then two, oh boy, is this going to be really complicated. So kind of, using that as my kind of introduction or viewpoint into my role at Mattersight, I think there's a lot of different flavors of it. If you ask my colleagues, there's some differences of how they will tell you I work with our product across the firm. And while I'm certainly not as crazy as Doc Brown from Back to the Future, and I perhaps don't spend as much time on design as Steve Jobs, and I certainly don't always say no to sales on their wonderful new ideas, I think if you distill down what ultimately we're focused on, it's creating products that drive value for you. And with that, I think that's how we think about prioritizing our roadmap. It's really driven by that value potential. Frank kind of teed this up, but we have some old and some new customers in the room. So I want to double click on this pinwheel to really kind of get our basis on how we're going to think through the roadmap. And what we're doing is all centered around interaction data. You can think of this as the conversations your agents are having with your customers, the activity they're performing on their desktops as they do their job, and in the future, extending this into chat, social, or even virtual assistants. That's really the core data set that we're working with. The next layer is really Mattersight's competitive advantages. Personality, first and foremost, is how we understand language and behavior. In order to understand that at scale, we drive it through data science and machine learning. Those competencies are really our kind of breadbox that we've built this product suite around. So from routing to work style to analytics to quality to coaching, each of these products has their own unique way of allowing you to have better conversations with your customers and your employees. Our North Star that we kind of look at as we look to prioritize this roadmap is to really get more reviews like this one. Mattersight has become part of our everyday work lives in which we value their business. Two things I distill out of here are we're mission critical and we're providing positive business benefit. If we can do those together, we're going to be successful. And I think that's how we reinforce priority across our roadmap. So with the lyrics of Metallica, give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire, I'm going to walk you through some of the in-progress innovations that we have. So give me fuel. We're fueling our products with world-class technologies to maximize the value that they provide. Some of our important in-progress initiatives, we're really excited about our partnership with Voci. We think Voci is the most accurate transcription engine that's commercially available. Fundamentally, as we transcribe voice into text to allow computers to do what they need to do, the more accurate we can get that transcription, the more accurate our analytics. The more accurate our analytics, the deeper and more powerful insights that we can provide. This is a very important topic to us, and we're going to have a breakout specifically on our partnership with Voci and our analytics later today. Next is we realize that data visualizations that are easy to understand, readily available, and ultimately beautiful to look at drive great adoption and action off that data. So we're going to continue to migrate more and more of our reporting into new cutting-edge platforms like Tableau or Plotly or R in order to kind of enhance our overall reporting package. Next, you're going to like this one if you're a big tech nerd, but arguably Halo is the most popular video game on the planet. Every day, millions, if not tens of millions of gamers join an online virtual battlefield where they compete against one another. And the game is so popular that Microsoft's Extreme Computing Group had to design a whole new analytic platform just to run the game at scale. What's nice about that is Microsoft also open sourced all of that code. So as our larger customers kind of continue to push us in terms of demand around speed and reliability on executing all these analytics, we're moving more and more of our analytic framework into this Microsoft or Lean's framework that runs on the Azure cloud as well as ultimately the game Halo. Next is, as we continue to wave the flag around personality, we want to make it front and center across all of our applications. In doing so, we're going to give it a huge makeover. We're going to make it shine in the spotlight that it's given. First and foremost, it's going to become new and improved labels for the personalities themselves to make them more easily understandable and greater adoption. And then as well as bring new media and interactive content and design into the applications. If you've gotten a chance to view work style, a lot of that is the flavor that we're looking at in terms of our design and experience. And then last but not least, on the new technologies, we really pride ourselves in being an open platform. Ultimately, we want to make it easy to exchange our data or your data and our analytics. So we're continuing to build out APIs to exchange our analytics and your data back into your lakes, your warehouses, or your CRM applications to drive more widespread usage. On Gimme Fire, advances in predictive modeling and machine learning are really igniting a new wave of innovation across our products. And if I look year over year at the complexity of our predictive behavioral routing solution, it's grown exponentially. We've brought new predictive modeling techniques in. We're incorporating or enriching the data set with customer demographics or temporal information. And we're ultimately kind of working towards this vision of the more information we can expose to the routing engine at the time that it needs to make a decision, the better connections that it will drive. And we all know that the better connections we're able to drive, the more efficiently or effective that conversation will go. We're also doubling down on data science. One of the primary focus points of our data science team is, as we measure every second of every interaction, we want to know a deeper understanding of those elements' relationships to outcomes of those calls. Are they positive predictors of success? Are they negative predictors of experience? And ultimately build predictive models for all these outcomes so that we know the caller's satisfaction before they have to take a survey. Or we understand the likelihood that a customer is going to cancel their account before they ultimately pick up the phone and do so. The more accurate and the robust we can make these models, the more strategic they become for you in taking action on them to drive business value. The next algorithm will be the work we're doing on trending topics. So fundamentally, the conversations that are taking place in call centers are too much and too grand for a human being to really understand, let alone understand how those conversations are changing over time. Luckily, this is something that machines and learning algorithms do very well. So they're able to really wrap their arms around this large unstructured data set and discern from advanced correlations what are the conversational topics that are occurring, make those topics into data points so that we can trend them over time. When we combine this with our more traditional way of going about analytics, it really provides a more robust and comprehensive picture of all of the activities that are taking place in a phone conversation, and we can use that information in order to be able to relate them to outcomes or events. So really then parlaying this trending topics concept to identify winning behaviors. And I like to think of the call center as just one big laboratory experiment. If you can identify all of the events that are happening across every conversation, which is a very difficult thing to do, But once you're able to identify that and turn it into just X's and O's or independent and dependent variables, you just allow science to take over and allow you to be able to statistically determine this event has a higher probability of leading to success, so do more of that. And this event has a higher likelihood of leading to failure, do less of that. If we're able to extract this information up and redesign our programs or our strategies around it, we ultimately will lead to better conversations. So this is just a recap of some of our algorithms that we're focusing on. And then last but not least, gimme that which I desire. Hopefully this has been an insightful look at two primary paths of our roadmap, new technologies and algorithms. And certainly I have not been able to cover everything that Mattersight has in progress today, as well as there's a lot of good ideas and information across our customer base in this room. So what we are planning to do at the event is we're going to create our own Genius Bar. We want a way to facilitate exchange of this knowledge or these idea generations. And so we've brought a team of experts or geniuses for Mattersight. I've listed them up on this board. And we really encourage you to engage with them to help shape our roadmap or help influence where we're going together. You'll be able to identify these geniuses throughout the event as they'll be wearing gray t-shirts that says, I'm a Mattersight genius, as well as their area of expertise. I have the privilege of being your analytics genius, so I look forward to having some more intimate conversations with you. But again, I encourage you to reach out or find these individuals to exchange your ideas or to tap their brains for terms of knowledge.